Alrighty, so today we're going to look at the last form of an equation that we're going to look at. So we have slope-intercept form, we have point-slope form, and now we're going to look at standard form. So standard form of an equation is let me get a different color. AX plus BY equals C. Okay? So it's AX plus BY equals C. That is the standard form of an equation. What do you notice that looks a little bit different about this one versus our others? What do you guys see?
I see A.
All right, so there's like A, B, and C in there. We haven't seen those in the other ones. Do you notice that X and Y are on the same side? It's never been like that before, right? With slope-intercept form and point-slope form, X and Y are always on opposite sides. So you can see how kind of standard form is a little bit different. And I'll be honest with you, standard form is important because lots of standardized tests and different things like that show us answers in standard form or give us problems in standard form. So it's very, very important for us to be able to put something in standard form. So that's one of our outcomes today. The second outcome that is more important, that it's a power outcome, is being able to find the intercepts. Okay, that's the main thing that standard form is good for, at least as far as what we are going to do with it. Okay, so the main thing that we're going to do with standard form is being able to find the X and Y intercepts, and we'll see how to do that in a minute. Okay, one thing that is important here, standard form requires A, B, and C to be whole numbers. Well, I shouldn't say whole numbers because they can be negative. They're integers. Okay, so they're all integers. So they can be positive or negative, quote-unquote, whole numbers. Okay? So basically that just means no decimals and fractions. Okay, and A and B cannot be 0. Or both 0, I guess, in standard form. Okay? Alright, so let's look at writing something in standard form. So basically all you need to know is A and B have to be on the same side and there can't be any fractions or decimals. Okay? Alright, so let's look at A. So I need to get X and Y to the same side and the number to the opposite side. So if I want X and Y on the same side and the number on the opposite side, what am I going to move here? If I want X and Y on the same side and my number on the opposite side, what should I move here? The 2x, right? So I'm going to move this 2x over here to the Y side, and then my 5 will stay put over here. So again, anytime I go across the equal sign, I have to do an opposite operation. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And remember, in standard form, it's important that x is first. So if you wrote y minus 2x, it would be slightly wrong. Okay, in the technical form of standard form. So I'm going to put the x first. And since x is negative, I'm going to put that negative. So negative 2x. Y is positive, so that would be plus y. And then I just have equals 5 on the other side. So is x and y on the same side? Yeah. Do I have any decimals or fractions? No. So I'm in standard form. So that's done. Okay. So that's putting something in standard form. Let's look at B. Okay, so I need x and y to the same side. So I'm going to move the y this time. So minus 2y. Okay. So I have 4/5 x minus 2y. And I'm just going to stick that equals negative 3 on the back side here versus on the front side where it was. Okay. So I didn't really move anything around there. I just kind of swapped the equals negative 3 to the other side. Alright, so is x and y on the same side? Yes. So is it in standard form? No. Why not? Fraction, right? Remember, standard form can't have fractions. So if I have a denominator of 5, in order to clear the fraction, I just need to multiply every single piece by that denominator of 5. Okay? So now I have, remember, a whole number times a fraction. Multiply the tops, divide by the bottom. So it's 5 times 4. 20 divided by 5. is 4. So this piece is 4x minus 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. So minus 10y equals on the other side 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And there I'm in standard form. Okay? Alrighty, you guys do the two try these A and B together in your groups, okay? So do try these A and B together in your groups. Go ahead. Okay, so you can check your answer on A. All we have to do there is just subtract the 5 to the other side. 4x minus 5y equals the negative 2. Questions on A? Okay, B is a little more difficult. I have to add the 1/3 x over to the other side to get x and y on the same side. And then make sure and clear my fraction, so I multiply every piece by 3. I get x plus 3y equals negative 6. Any questions there? Comfort level, please, on putting something into standard form. Okay, looking good. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our power outcome, being able to find x and y intercepts. Okay. All right, so I'm going to scroll over to the side really quick. You might want to draw this diagram anywhere you have some free space on your paper. I'm just going to draw a quick arbitrary graph. Okay, so let's look at this graph right here. So I told you guys standard form is good for finding x and y intercepts. So what is the y-intercept again? It's where my line does what? Crosses the y-axis. So this right here would be my y-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to say y-intercept. And what do you know about the coordinates of a y-intercept? What has to be true about the coordinates of a y-intercept in order for it to be a y-intercept? Yep. What has to be 0? Is that true? Look at the graph. Is y 0 on that point?
Oh, wait. No,
X has to be 0. Good. So for any ordered pair that is a y-intercept, I am going over, right? In order for it to be a y-intercept on this y-axis, I have to go over none. So that means in my ordered pair, x has to be 0. And then y is going to be up or down something. So I'm just going to stick a question mark in there. Okay? So for a y-intercept, x has to be 0. So that's what you can tell yourself. X has to be 0. So for a y-intercept, x has to be 0. So then what about the x-intercept? What would the x-intercept be? X-intercept is where my line what? Yeah, it touches the x-axis, right? So right here would be my x-intercept. What do we know about the coordinates of an x-intercept? Yeah, the y would have to be 0, right? Because I go over something, so my question mark is going to be in the first spot. And then I have to go up or down 0. Okay? So here, y is 0. Okay, not the most beautiful diagram ever. But what you need to get out of that is for an x-intercept, y is 0. For a y-intercept, x is 0. And that makes our life so very easy. Okay? All right, did everybody have that copy down so I can move it, get rid of it? Okay. Okay. All right. So now let's look at example 2. So to find the x-intercept, substitute a 0 for y. Okay, remember for an x-intercept, y is 0. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my original equation if I were to plug a 0 in for y, what is negative 6 times 0? 0, right? So plugging in a 0 for y essentially wipes that term out. So we're going to practice what's called the cover-up method. Okay? So from my original equation up here, if y is 0, I'm just going to cover this y term up, and I'm left with 4x equals negative 12. So now I have 4x equals negative 12. I can solve for x now. So divide by 4, and I get x equals negative 3. So what is my x-intercept? It has to be a ordered pair. So negative 3 would be the x value, right? What's the y value? 0. So here's my x-intercept, negative 3, 0. Okay, and then we kind of do the opposite for the y-intercept. So for the y-intercept, substitute a 0 for x. Okay, so same equation, 4x minus 6y equals negative 12. So now I'm plugging a 0 in for the x term. So 4 times 0, again, is going to wipe that term out. I'm left with negative 6y equals negative 12. And I can solve that. So I divide by negative 6 on both sides. And I get y equals 2. So then what is my y-intercept? What's x? 0. We just figured out y is 2. So there are my x and y intercepts right there. Negative 3, 0, and 0, comma 2. Okay. Just for the sake of the try these problems, just as an organizational piece, you don't have to do it this way, but it helps me. I kind of do a little T-chart, and I do my x-intercept over here and my y-intercept over here. Okay, just so I'm not getting stuff all confused. And all you have to do, literally, and I'll help you start setting this one up, for an x-intercept, what do you know about an x-intercept? Y is 0, so if I were to cover this term up right here with my finger, what would I be left with?
2x equals 6.
Yeah, 2x equals 6. So 2x equals 6. And then you can do the opposite for the y-intercept, okay? So I'm going to let you go ahead and finish A. I also want you to do B. Make sure on B you put it in standard form first because it's not in standard form. So you got to get it in standard form and then find your x and y intercepts, okay? So I'm going to let you go ahead and finish A and then do B as well. Okay, so you can go ahead and check your answer up there with A. So I finished out the x-intercept, got 3, 0. For my y-intercept, cover up the x term. Solve that down, you get 1.25. You could leave it as 6 over 5, but as far as graphing, the decimal is going to be a lot easier for you to graph rather than 6/5. Okay. So any questions on A? All right, let's pull it over and look at B. Okay. So for B, I need to get it into standard form first. So I need x and y to the same side. So I'm going to subtract the 2y over here. So I have 1/4 x minus 2y equals, what's my number over here? 0. Okay. So not quite in standard form, right? I need to get rid of the fraction. So I need to multiply every piece by 4. So now I have 1x minus 8y equals 4 times 0 is still 0. So now that it's in standard form, I can go ahead and find my x-intercept and y-intercept. So if I plug, so for x-intercept, remember y is 0. So if I plug a 0 in here and knock this term out, I'm left with x equals 0. Hey, look at that. That's already done for me. So what is my x-intercept here? X is 0, y is 0, right? That's foreshadowing. That should be foreshadowing. You know what's about to happen? It's going to be the same thing. Oops, wrong button. Okay. Then for my y-intercept, I cover up this x term. I get negative 8y equals 0. Divide by negative 8 on both sides. And I get y equals 0. So then my y-intercept is also 0, 0. So this is one case where standard form wouldn't really help us graph because we only have 1 point. So we'd have to probably do slope-intercept form at this point. Okay. Just because the y-intercept crosses right at the origin. Okay, but you can still find the x and y intercepts the same way. Okay, any questions so far? Can I get a comfort level on finding intercepts? Comfort level on finding intercepts, x and y intercepts. Good. Okay. All right, go ahead and flip to the back. Okay. So now we're going to use those same intercepts from example 2 from the front side to go ahead and graph, because graphing is super simple now. Okay. So can somebody scroll back up really quick? It's a lot easier for you guys to do rather than me. Can you scroll back up from the or up to the number 2 on the last page and tell me what the x and y intercepts are? Somebody, anybody? No, tell me the x and y intercepts from example 2. Remember we solved down and got the x and y intercepts? That was the one before the try these.
The y is 0, 2.
0, the y is 0, 2. What was the x? Negative 3, 0. Okay, so now we got the x and y intercept, so let's go ahead and graph it, okay? So all graphing is literally graphing those 2 points and connecting them with a line. So you just got to make sure you get your x and y axis correct. So x-intercept negative 3, 0, so that's left 1, 2, 3, and up none. So there's my x-intercept. My y-intercept is over none, up 2. So there's my y-intercept. Connect them with a line, and you're done. So if you can find that x and y intercept, I know you can graph it, because it's literally just putting those 2 points on the line. Okay. So I'm going to let you practice putting it all together here on try these A and B. So you're going to find the x and y intercept the same way that you did on the previous page. Okay, find the x and y intercept the same way you did on the previous page, and then just plot those 2 points and connect them with a line to kind of finish out the problem. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let you try a couple more problems here with your groups. So go ahead and try A and B together in your groups. Go ahead. Okay, you can go ahead and check your answers for A on the board. So for the x-intercept, I cover up the 2y term, since y is 0. Solve down and get x equals negative 2. For the y-intercept, I cover up the 5x term, since x is 0. And I get y equals negative 5. So then I plot my 2 points, and there's my line. Questions on A? We okay? All right, I'll scroll over to B. So for B, for the x-intercept, I cover up my 5y term since y is 0. Solve down to get x equals 4. That's the simple one. The y-intercept, I just have a decimal here because I cover up the x term, the 3x term. And I have 12 divided by 5, which gives me 2.4. Decimals are obviously going to be easier for you to graph rather than like the improper fractions. So decimals are preferred here. Okay, do we have any questions? All righty, that's that for notes.